The fact that Glock's travelogue, written by Archmage Glock at the end of his life, which were made when he was living in a remote place in a small hut, and contrary to his fame, are almost unknown to anyone, Glock at that time said to his granddaughter Lucy, who was lying comfortably in the air, "She has a great innate talent from birth and is blessed by the stars, but that doesn't mean she can stop learning." So he asked his granddaughter to continue to be humble, continue to study, and use her power to help many people, and be careful of the loneliness that will slowly befall her one day. The power that overwhelms everyone will inevitably bring bitter loneliness. Glock then ended his lecture. Regardless, he asked Lucy to promise him 3 things. First, don't kill, avoid the blood on his little hands, even if by accident, and at least as long as she was in Sylvania, live as a disciple. But when facing the siege in front of her right now, whether Lucy can really keep the promise given by her grandfather. The fact that the mercenaries employed by Elt are the best in the continent can be seen from the evidence that most of them are veterans. Simply surviving many life and death situations already signaled their prowess, their instincts honed to a predatory level, senses to understand and react to dangerous situations, but those senses were screaming right now, saying, "We have to stop here." They could only stand petrified as Lucy just casually walked past them. Their bodies shook violently with fear. Seeing that, Elt then scolded them. "Are they stupid?" He told them to move quickly. A mercenary who looked quite young said that he didn't know what kind of magic this was. Younger mercenaries generally lack survival instincts. And he then stupidly moved to attack Lucy. Lucy, as usual, was a magician who didn't use magic either. She then concentrated the mana in her 2 fingers, then threw it towards the mercenary. It was just a raw power caused by the overwhelming pressure of magic, pure violence, but the effect caused was impressive and made the mercenary thrown far back. The other mercenaries were really shocked and they saw that the activation was still not finished. Elt told them to buy more time, but Lucy's eyes suddenly fell on him and said, "This man is the leader. Everything will be fine if they defeat him." But when Lucy was about to attack him, Ed suddenly patted her on the shoulder from behind. It managed to defuse Lucy's explosion. Elt was really very scared at this time. Ed said that it was enough, but the place where they were standing suddenly shook violently. Facing that, Ed wondered if this was an earthquake. But he immediately denied his guess when he saw the thunderous lightning that lit up the sky above the academy. At this time, the 7 stars were aligned straight and their appearance was clearly visible in the night sky. Defying the laws of nature, it was Professor Glast's high-level celestial magic, descent of the 7 stars. The towering magic towers then appeared when Professor Glast cast the magic. The magic towers that covered the sky were the stage for the last chapter of Act 2, the final battle. Ed felt that the timing was perfect. Now, he was sure that Taylor must have wiped out the monsters in the underground waterway and had obtained crucial skills. All the allies needed to complete the act had gathered, so it might take a little time, but Taylor should be able to stop Professor Glast. The activation time of the descent of the 7 stars is the same as in the original story. This means that the scenario is running without any problems, of course, because it's a magic that's different from normal magic. Everyone except him will be confused when they see it. Even the top students of the magic department, Janica and Lortel, won't understand the situation clearly, so there was no possibility. But his guess was soon broken, when he heard Lucy explain the phenomenon. 10 magic towers, each absorbing the power of celestial magic. She then flew up. While looking at the magic towers, she felt that maybe it was not impossible, rising again from the dead. The epilogue that can be seen after completing Act 2, after the incident is over. Lucy, who woke up limp from her sleep, said, "So that's what happened." In the original scenario, Lucy should be taking a nap on the roof of the Trix Hall, but if Lucy was awakened earlier in Phase 1 and added to our party. When Professor Glast was cornered, he would make a proposal to Lucy. He offers to resurrect someone using celestial magic, but not someone from Sylvania, but her mentor and grandfather, the Archmage Glock, and after that, Lucy becomes against us. At that moment, the player's party is slaughtered. That's how bad ending 27, the slothful Lucy, happened. The only thing left is Lucy's self, who is seen walking calmly out of the underground waterway. Lucy Merrill in Act 2 is not an enemy designed to be defeated. Even though all veterans and hardcore players have spent hundreds of hours trying, they still don't find a way to defeat Lucy at this point in Act 2. Sudden deviations in the main scenario due to unexpected variables can be fixed by the way he runs here and there to fix things, and sometimes these variables make him think you can change the bad ending that is already fixed. Ed really utilizes the variables that appear very well. He uses Elt's prejudice of Belarus to suppress the magic around. For 10 minutes, it stops Lucy's movement for a while. After succeeding in the activation of his magic engineering item, Elt then orders the mercenaries to move now, that Childs can no longer use magic. Hearing that, they then rush to move towards them, but when a mercenary was about to slash Ed using his sword, a very unexpected thing happened. Ed was still able to use his magic. He used a wind blade to strike back at the mercenary. It was because he was also a variable in the scenario, but even he was unable to stop certain individuals. L was really shocked to see that. A look of disbelief could be clearly seen on his face at this time. But what made him break out in a cold sweat was, when he saw Lucy with such a passionate aura walking towards him. The extraordinary suppression power of the legendary grade engineering magic item had a limit. Just as we can draw water from the sea, but cannot drain it to the end. Lucy then told him to open the way. She had to go somewhere. The experience Elt had was on par with veteran mercenaries. His instincts, honed by surviving various life and death situations, now predicted a death for the Golden King. His figure seemed very small in front of that monster-like figure. And as Lucy was about to snap her fingers at him, Ed then asked. She knew that he could die, right? Lucy knew that fact, but, strangely, this boy cared about Elt's life. Ed told her, if he was not someone she could kill, then stop right now. Lucy was silent for a moment hearing that. She then remembered her grandfather's words, don't kill, avoid the blood on her little hands, even if it was by accident. What she thought about was not who would die. Ed continued to stare at her. It succeeded in stopping Lucy's explosion. Lucy then resignedly turned around. She seemed unable to kill him. Seeing that, Ed asked, where was she going? Lucy replied that this was over. She needed to go somewhere. Her conversations with Ed Roth Taylor always led to this, so, Ed then asked, was she sure she wouldn't regret it? He didn't think she would give a reply. Lucy suddenly stopped after hearing his question. Seeing that, Ed then looked at her worriedly. Lucy looked sad. She then remembered her last time with her grandfather. In Glock's Travelogue, the last chapter, there was a sentence, what was lost, is no longer. Unfortunately, the bereaved must strengthen themselves, so, be strong, to you. Which marks the end of my life. I dedicate the last sentence of this book. Lucy. Glock smiled as he faced his death. His grandfather's smile was still clearly remembered in Lucy's memory. She then answered no. After saying that, Lucy then disappeared from his sight. After they managed to deal with Elt, Janica then watched the mercenaries who fled by sea using a boat. Mug then reported that to him. All 57 confirmed people had boarded the boat. It seemed that everyone had gone home. Since the confirmation process had been completed, Miss Janica would soon be back. Ed's breath was coming in short gasps as he was running non-stop towards somewhere. They temporarily postponed the handling of the defeated Elt. For now, they first handed him over to the Elt store. Lortel would probably handle the related work. Ending the grudge against him was also something that Lortel had to do herself, perhaps because he was pushing himself too hard in his tired state. Running all the way to the tallest building in Sylvania made his body feel heavy. Somewhere in Sylvania, there was a towering building. It was Trix Hall, the starting point of this episode. The place where Professor Glast stole the Sage's scroll, and where Taylor started his fight to stop him. The injured victims were well taken care of by the Academy, so he didn't think he would come here again. In the end, he had come this far. His stage, which started in a secret laboratory, had itself become perfect as he got here. This is where Taylor started, and this is where my struggle will end. As Ed opened the door, he then saw Lucy, who was sitting while looking at the towering magic tower. One of the student union buildings that Janica destroyed was Glock Hall. The institution that supports high scholarship this semester is also Glock's Scholarship Foundation. Glock himself lived frugally during his lifetime, and donated all his wealth to Sylvania Academy. His footprints are clearly imprinted throughout this academy, so finding Lucy was not difficult. Ed already guessed she must be here. To look at the entire academy easily, they just looked at the scenery without saying a word. For Lucy, the academy is the legacy of Glock's legacy.